Minneapolis neighborhood which vowed to not call the cops after George Floyd has been invaded by homeless people and criminals. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on the internet, we're going to talk about a Minneapolis neighborhood that said it would never call the cops again in one massive virtue signal. And now they're suffering the consequences. Because what happened after they said they would never call the police again? They got invaded by a homeless camp, criminals, and now are feeling unsafe. Here you can see on the Daily Mail, Minneapolis neighborhood which vowed not to call the cops after George Floyd's death is now struggling with the 300-person homeless camp in their local park, which has left them feeling unsafe because of drugs. Well, that's exactly what you would expect. What did you think was gonna happen? Peace on earth? Things are actually getting really bad in this neighborhood, and we're gonna talk about it because there is another article by the New York Times that does go over this, although they paint a very different picture. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications for more content. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a share. So this is what's happened. 300 homeless people have set up a camp in a local park in this neighborhood where people vowed never to call the cops again. Those who lived nearby where Floyd was killed at the hands of cops on May 25th welcomed dozens of tents to Powderhorn Park, where the displaced people looked for permanent accommodation, urging officials not to evict them for now. So this was mistake number one. They let these people build their tent, their hobo city, within their public park. But in the past 2 weeks since they've been using the open space, people living near the park have complained about a heavy flow of traffic. Keep them up at night as drug dealers. 2 people in the encampment have already been taken away in ambulances after overdosing. So, the moment they stop calling police, then all of the criminals just come right in. Do you know how unsafe it is, first of all, to let 300 mysterious people that you know nothing about inside your neighborhood? You don't know if they're good people. You don't know if they're criminals or not. Now, I love the way that the New York Times paints this story. Here it says, a Minneapolis neighborhood vowed to check its privilege. It's already being tested. Blocks from where George Floyd drew his last breaths, residents have vowed to avoid the police to protect people of color. The commitment is hard to keep. Aw, do you love that framing? The way the New York Times paints this as if the neighborhood is doing something good because it's privileged. I don't know about you, but it is not a privilege to be able to call the cops. It is not a privilege to be able to feel safe. And it is not a privilege to get rid of criminals. Those, my friends, are just parts of a healthy, working society. So they paint it as if this is a good thing. But I want to show you something from this article that's going to blow your mind. This guy, his name is Mitchell Erickson. He was confronted by 2 black teenagers who tried to steal his car. Down below the picture it says, Mitchell Erickson called the police after 2 black teenagers cornered him near his home and demanded his car keys. He regrets the move. I put those 2 boys in danger of death by calling the cops, he said. This is the cuckest thing I've seen all day. What a cuck. Holy shit. You know, this reminds me a lot of the bike cuck meme. My bike got stolen recently. I was pretty bummed about it, but I think whoever stole it was probably more happy to get it than I am sad to lose it. The total happiness in the world increased. So whatever. Yeah. So this comic artist was brutally mocked for this comic, and it's been a meme ever since. The bike cuck. Because what kind of mental gymnastics do you need to do to rationalize criminals being the good guys, and that actually it's a good thing? Or that actually you did something bad by calling the cops. But this is exactly what happened. He said, oh no, they tried to rob me and steal my car, but I felt bad because I called the cops on them. You're supposed to call the cops on them, you dipshit. You're supposed to call the cops on criminals. When someone tries to rob you and steal your car, you call the cops. That's what the cops are for. Oh, the criminals were in danger. And criminals aren't supposed to be safe from police. They're supposed to be arrested. Is that an insane statement to make? No. Okay. Now, nobody's saying that people should die at the hands of police. I am certainly not saying that. But I do believe that the police should arrest people who are breaking the law. Sometimes the law is unjust. That is true. But the right to not have your car stolen is not a privilege and not unjust. No. It's a right. This neighborhood is literally being told and saying that they have to suffer from criminals and they can do nothing about it. How can this person live with themselves? How can anybody see this and not think that is insane? How mentally to actually believe what this guy is saying? Now I want to highlight a comment from the New York Times. Here Martin says, "This is insanity. Drugs, guns, a tent city. Completely intolerable. The increase in crime in Powderhorn will not stay here. It will metastasize throughout Minneapolis. The city doesn't only belong to Powderhorn residents. Their behavior jeopardizes all citizens. All are now at a massively greater risk of life-threatening injury than ever before. The number of shootings is skyrocketing, and we've had more shootings over the past few months than in the last or more. Police reform is absolutely necessary, but so is rational ability to calculate risk." Oh, asking for rationality. Oh, that's the problem here. Nobody here is being rational, and because of it, their neighborhood is suffering. Crime's up, everything bad is literally up ever since they decided to not call the cops. Maybe cops are actually mostly good, and that a big police force is actually a good thing, because if you don't have a big police force, then this is what happens. This article is actually insane. So all of these incidents have come about as people across the country have made calls to defund the police and put some of the $115 billion budget into areas such as affordable housing. You mean like the rioters and protesters looting for George Floyd burned down those affordable housing units the other week? I find it hilarious because literally affordable housing was in fact burned down by the people who said they were protesting to abolish the police. So I don't understand what they're thinking. So this neighborhood has gone completely insane. Not only have they let these people, these homeless people, come to their city, their park, they're actually feeding them. Locals have been supplying meals, medical care, counseling to the campers from a multiracial background and have called on community groups to advise on issues. They're literally defending people who are breaking the law. It is illegal to set up camp in a public space. It is against the law, and it is for the public safety. Now, people are homeless for a variety of reasons, but that doesn't change the fact that you're breaking the law by doing this. You have no right to do this, and for good reason. Now, a local woman, Toby Miller, 34, is concerned that the sentiments expressed on the board could be racial profiling. Quote, "My feeling around it are those are symptoms of systematic oppression," Miller said, about the illegal activity going on within the park, and it's not on them. Are you really saying that it's not their fault they're committing crimes? These people have absolutely lost it. They've lost the plot. They've allowed this area to be built. They're enabling criminals. And now nobody is safe. Now everyone is in danger, and now people are being robbed at gunpoint. This is what happens when you go woke. This is what happens when you go full blue pill. Take the red pill. Call the cops. And the problem is these people's advocating against the cops. Now, there's a commenter who has a very interesting point, a very pertinent point. Telling it like it is from Brooklyn says, "Liberals think without conservatives, the world would be a perfect place, filled with happy, fuzzy bears and unicorns. They truly are clueless," and they absolutely are. Liberals in the political left wing are some of the most clueless, naive people I've ever seen. They literally believe what they're saying, and that's the craziest thing to me. They actually believe that a world without cops would be a better place. Are you a moron? You do realize that most of the people who have been captured by cops or anything like that have been people breaking the law or people with criminal histories. Why would you defend criminals? What happens when you get rid of police and a serial killer comes and does what he does? Who's going to protect you then? These are the same people that don't believe in owning guns. They don't believe in gun ownership. What happens without police and what happens without guns? Well, my friend, you are at the mercy of anybody who wishes to do you harm. I have a theory that people who find themselves, typically, now not always, I'm not saying everyone, but people who find themselves liberal or left-wing or woke, I think these people are people who are emotionally and mentally stunted to the point that they actually believe, like a child would, that if you simply took away cops, took away guns, then everything would be happy and perfect. Rainbows and unicorns. But that's not how the real world works. The real world is harsh. The real world has consequences. The real world is dangerous. And a lot of people are calling this insane. But you know what, my friends? That's pretty much the story. It goes without saying, you reap what you sow. If you're going to go woke, if you're going to take the blue pill, if you're going to say abolish the police, we're not calling the police, then criminals will invade your space, you will be robbed at gunpoint and have your car stolen, and there will be nothing that anybody will do to protect you. You will be at the mercy of criminals, thieves, and thugs. But that, my friends, is merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? Ugh, God, it's insane. It is insane. It's not even a parody. These are real people and real events. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Now, as always, if you want to support the work I do, please consider joining me on Patreon or Subscribestar. If you do so, you will get access to a private Discord server. You can join for as low as $1. And if you want to donate, there's DonorBox and Bitcoin. And why not visit my merch store? 2 impeccable Crusade-era themed designs are available for your viewing pleasure. You can find the link down below in the description. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.